Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Let's get into this one. So, Alexander Usyk, the ever-changing world of boxing. I think 24, 48 hours ago, we were discussing, or even last night, I was discussing the fact that Anthony Joshua and his team should kind of swerve a fight with Alexander Usyk so that Joshua and Bashir could work together. We now have a situation less than 24 hours later. Usyk has announced that he himself will be leaving Ukraine to prepare for his rematch against Anthony Joshua. Not too long ago, there was talk that, Usyk wouldn't come back to defend his titles. He'd be out in Ukraine for a long time. Joshua was going to take an interim bout. And then all of a sudden, this happens. And I'm like, wow. But then Bashir was in camp. Bashir arrived in camp, I think, 3 or 4 days ago. So he might have even arrived earlier, but I don't know. But I'm only basing it on the fact that the pictures that was sent. So based on that information, they must have known that Usyk was on his way back. It wasn't too long before Bashir was in camp that Joshua made a statement that Angel Fernandez was their head honcho. He was the main man. He was the guy that was going to be running the camp. Then all of a sudden, James Bashir is in camp. So you just begin to wonder and ask yourself the question, what actually is going on? So from what I'm observing from the outside, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Uncle Bashir yet, but when I do, if I get the opportunity to talk to him, I will certainly ask him what the situation is. But it seems to me, just from a dynamics point of view, the new photographs that came out today of Joshua and Bashir, it looks like they're tight. The photographs look that Joshua's down for business and Bashir is going to be in that camp with Joshua. Now that we know the fight's in June, I can't really imagine that Anthony Joshua is going to be looking for yet another trainer to be in that camp. So I didn't think Anthony Joshua was going to go around do the no trainer left behind tour, but he did. So that's why I'm I would like to think that Bashir is the guy that Joshua is going to be moving forward with. And we're going to assume that's the case. Because we're now a little than a week going into April. The fight is meant to be in June. Doesn't give you much time to get another coach in and start building a relationship with that coach. So there is some history between Bashir and Joshua, as I've said many a times. I've always pushed for this situation between Joshua and Bashir. If you go back and look at one video in particular, I did a video stating, Anthony Joshua, have you forgotten James Ali Bashir? I think you can go back and check that video where I explained why I thought that Bashir was the best man for the job. Okay, so he's in camp. Usyk is coming from being at war in Ukraine, and he's coming back. So in my previous video yesterday, I said that he should be swerved like a plague because this guy is going to be coming in with a mindset, quite literally, it was kill or be killed out there. And with that sort of mindset at war, you would think to yourself he'd be coming back while Joshua's been kind of like in two minds, well, am I fighting Usyk or am I fighting someone else? This guy was constantly out there fighting, or he was on the battlefield. And every day he was getting up, he was on the battlefield every day. So I don't know what that mindset is like because I've never personally been to inside of a war, where bombs are dropping and people are dying and you're hearing people are dying around you. I've never been like that, and God forbid that I'm never in a situation like that. And my sympathy goes out to the Russian families and Ukrainian families. Ultimately, they're all human beings, and nobody's done me any harm in this sense. So, I just pray for those families. So back to my point. I don't know I said that Usyk was, he was a mentally strong guy. I said that I felt Alexander Usyk was, he'd be coming back like a killer. Sure, but it's been out in a war field. There's really been little time for you to rest, and then you're out of war, and then you've been given permission to come out. Did he know that he was going to be given permission to get out? Because I spoke to somebody yesterday said to me that if you've got children and you're a certain age or something, that you would get leave. That's what I heard yesterday. Somebody have to confirm that to me. But yeah. So, says, as Lennon said, life is what happens when you are busy making other plans. Yes, have to agree with you there. So, that being said, so Usyk came back. The one thing I didn't really take into consideration is the human capacity, that emotional capacity. And what has he been doing out in Ukraine? How has he been looking after his body? How has he been training? What sort of mental demons has he been dealing with when he's been out in Ukraine? So I just thought, he's out to war. He comes back. He was a dangerous guy before. He'll be even more dangerous guy now. But I come to think of it, what sort of state would Usyk be in? Would his mind be on the job? Could he focus 110%, on the fight? Leaving Ukraine and particularly family or friends that are out there going to war and fighting and boxing now in this fight. Is he going to be 100% focused? I mean, the man is mentally very strong, but how do you shut that off, and not be able to focus on the task in hand? So that's something that I didn't quite consider. What is his body, his state like? What sort of training is he doing while he's out there? What's been going on? How protected was he when he was out there at war? How involved was he at war? Did he physically get in contact with any of the Russians? I don't know all this information. I'm just asking questions. If anybody does know, please do answer on get a chance to put it in the video for me. Good evening, Ingram. These really are the questions. Circumstances for both Usyk and AJ are hardly ideal at the moment. Okay, so good evening, Ingram. These really are the questions. Circumstances for both Usyk and AJ are hardly ideal at the moment. No, they're not. They're not. Trying to remember how Joe Louis was after the time this time in the army. I know that Orange Revolution boosted Vitaly Klitschko at the time when he fought Danny Williams. Okay. Yes. So I don't know how it will affect Usyk. And now Usyk will be coming in to face Anthony Joshua, trained by, we hope, James Ali Bashir. Good evening, Joe. Good evening, Leif. By James Ali Bashir. So, which leads me to ask the next question. I've been talking. Oh, Joshua needs to get with Bashir. Everyone's saying, oh, he needs to get with Bashir. Okay, so he's got with Bashir. And you've seen the new photographs which I've posted on the channel. So we've got to that point now, Joe's saying. I do believe Usyk's commitment to the sport is heavily linked to his faith in God. He's mentioned it many times. I believe that Usyk may carry Usyk through. Yeah. Usyk is a devout Christian. In the early years of getting to know Usyk, I know that Bashir and him, he would often stop and pray at the church. Usyk's a deeply spiritual man. I will say that much. That has always been a character for years. So even when people weren't really paying attention to Usyk and we were following Usyk because of Uncle Bashir, he would often tell me stories about Usyk, and he saw Usyk like his son, and Usyk looked at him and called him uncle and stuff like that. So it was a very, very, very close relationship, but they were on that road to becoming WBO Cruiserweight Champion of the World. Those videos, of course, are on BWTM Sports if you ever care to listen to them. So yeah, we've been talking about James Ali Bashir. He needs to be with Anthony Joshua. We've got it. We've got what we've wanted as boxing fans for the most part. Somebody will still throw in Shane McGregor and Adam Booth. Who else? Ben Davison, Freddie Roach, and all the rest of them. But I'd be like safe to say that we've got a heavyweight specialist in the corner and a guy that's trained Usyk for 3 years of his championship days, going on to becoming WBO cruiserweight champion of the world. And arguably, he was probably a better fighter at cruiserweight than he was at heavyweight, because obviously at cruiserweight the guys are faster, and at heavyweight you probably see the punches coming more. So arguably, Bashir had a tougher task training Usyk at cruiserweight, arguably. Okay, let's see what people are saying here. Evening, Ingram. Much respect for the video and the last two cutting edge stuff. Well, I'm trying, my friend. I'm trying. The old boy's trying to keep up with them, keep up with the times. Uncle Bashir gives AJ the best plan to win against Usyk if AJ listens to him as head trader, and 2, AJ has enough confidence to fire left for the sport to dig deep. Yep, that's something. Those are okay. So we've got what we want. As I said, we've got what we want. We've got AJ. We've got Bashir. So basically, we've got the dream match that we wanted. But now we've got it. What do we do with it? So what does I'm going to keep checking my phone because I am expecting Uncle Bashir to respond to me at some point. But I would suspect, there's my spider sense, I would suspect that they would be training around now. Well, it's 9 to 9:15. I would think they'd be training in the evening, probably going for runs in the mornings and the evening doing their main training because of if they're going to be fighting again. I would have thought, 10, 11 o'clock they'd be fighting if it's in the UK. But yeah, anyway, I'm still expecting Uncle to get back to me. What does a James Bashir Anthony Joshua look like? So we all accept the Joshua boxed to the wrong game plan. We all accept that he wasn't set up right for this fight against Usyk. And we all accept that had he taken a different approach, we may have seen a different fight, but we weren't able to see that. In this second fight, we will get to see Joshua, we hope, make adjustments. So what does that look like? What does a James Bashir fighter look like? And what will Uncle Bashir be trying to encourage Joshua to do? And okay, we've got a Joshua who, now let's use the history for us to kind of look at how adaptable Joshua is to changing game plans. Now, when Joshua boxed Ruiz for the rematch, okay, Ruiz was overweight. Yeah, he was fat and out of shape. You could throw that. You could say yes. But the one thing Joshua showed me and shocked me was his ability to maneuver around the ring, stay on his toes, move around the ring. And when Ruiz was able to get close, Joshua was able to tie him up. Yes, that was good. Against Andy Ruiz, who's got fast hands, punches with both hands, punches in combinations, Joshua was able to shut that down for the most part. He was able to shut that down for the most part. And being the bigger guy with a longer reach, that works well. I couldn't believe people actually believe that was the game plan to beat Alexander Usyk, because you were asking Joshua to box against the superior boxer. So we know now that Joshua trying to box Usyk is out of the question. Now, what is in question is box fight. If Joshua can mix the boxing with the fighting, with his physicalities, his reach, his power, being a bigger man, the physically stronger man, and can impose himself in this way. If he can impose himself in this way, then we have a different situation. It's the first time that AJ is going to have a world-class heavyweight trainer in his corner. The first time, right? And that's a big difference. You're talking about levels in training here. So now he's got from March till June, however, when in June. Is it late June? Is it mid-June? If it's the end of June, it's more time. If it's the beginning of June, it's less time, obviously. So it's more time. The more time you get together, the better. And how much adjustments need to be made? You or I can't judge that. And through our eyes, we may see things that Bashir will see differently. The one thing I've said over and over and over again, and I stand by it, it's here with Joshua. If Bashir can wipe out a lot of that stuff that Joshua's had over the years and just put in and make rather than trying to change Joshua, just try to refine him, make slight adjustments, enough adjustments to put him in a position to land more power punches and to get caught less by Usyk, and for Usyk to be moving into Joshua's punches rather than Joshua walking on to Usyk's punches. We have a different fight. The fight becomes different anyway. I don't believe major changes can be made between now and fight time. But the minor tweaks that Bashir can make will look major because Joshua's going to be able to put himself in positions he couldn't put himself before because now he's got a different captain guiding the ship, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah? Says, I don't know if one count will be enough to make the fundamental changes. AJ needs to win. He might have to have 3 counts before we can get back in line for heavyweight contention and win it again. This is the thing, the camp. So is there any way AJ can get injured to delay this fight? Can he get injured significant enough to train, get a full camp in, get injured a week or 2 before the fight, get some time, more time to get yourself to have longer time in camp with Bashir? Can that happen? Can that work? Fighters get injured. Fury got injured against Wilder, did he not? Or he had COVID or whatever it was. Huh? I mean, to me, that would make sense to try and drag this out as long as you can to get as much in the tank in terms of learning and really getting those things sharp. Because, you know, the more time, the better for you, you know? Just a thought. My guess is that James Bashir version encourages AJ to start leading with more than just a jab. A more aggressive fighter, more ready to let his straight right go. Well, I would expect to see a more aggressive Joshua for sure, but not recklessly aggressive. Not like the reckless, aggressive talk that Joshua was talking before, where he didn't need a trainer and he was just going to go out there and he's just going to be aggressive like a bad man and try and be a road man and fight Usyk. That would have been absolute disaster, right? But we still have to take into consideration Usyk's strengths. He is the better boxer, technically. I'm curious to see how Usyk will look after being in war, captured Russian soldiers and come back. War could do funny things to a man. He might be more ruthless. That's the thing. That's the thing that I've said. Him being more ruthless is something that I've always believed he'd be more ruthless. I believed he'd be more ruthless before he went to war. So that's something that it interests me. AJ is not an instinctual fighter as much as someone to help him process and think through. So when he gets in the ring, it's second nature. Yeah, I understand that. I'll tell you what he has learned, AJ, is all the things he shouldn't do. Whereas Wilder is an instinctual fighter, so you don't want to change him, but hold his instincts. Yep, I get that. I hear that. So I just wondered to myself, how What will be the tweaks? People talk about more of the left hook being thrown. I'll tell you one thing for sure is that when you hurt Usyk, you get on top of him. That you've got to hurt him early in the fight. That you've got to get his respect. You've got to make him hesitant to throw that left hand. Yeah? You've got to back him up. I don't think we'll see a bulked up Anthony Joshua for this fight. I think we'll see a lighter, leaner, faster guy. But have you heard the way Bashir talks? Roll the dice. Roll the dice. That's it. Go out there and roll the dice. You've heard him say it before. Go out there and roll the dice. So, a Joshua coming forward, attacking Usyk with a game plan could be interesting. Could be very interesting. So, we've got what we've wanted. We've just got to wait now to see what Uncle Bashir has to say for himself. We're waiting to hear from him, and I'll be talking to him at some point. So, we'll just stay tuned for that. So, she says, I think one of the keys to beating Usyk is the crowding. Work inside, heavy and rough clinching, crowding on the ropes and grappling. You have to bang the boxer and box the banger. Yes, yes. All the things we said previously. Take him into a war. Push him back against ropes. Don't allow him to get off the ropes and start doing all that stuff around the ring. Close him down. Shut him down. And the other thing is allowing Usyk, like there were times that AJ hurt Usyk and he just allows him to skip from one side to the other. It's something that he really needs to shut that down. It'd be interesting to see who Bashir brings into sparring, into camp for this fight. Who will he bring in for sparring? I think Uncle Bashir's knowledge of sparring partners and who they bring in will be very good. If Bashir can get the camp set up like an old Klitschko camp as well, that would be crucial. Because Joshua's got all the money in the world to have the training necessary and to get all the sparring partners in. So I hope to God he listens to Bashir. I hope to God that there's no holding back on bringing the right sparring partners in. I hope to God that Joshua is sparring with professional fighters, hungry professional fighters. I'm not sparring with amateurs and amateur southpaws. He needs to fight with get some pros in. Who would you bring into sparring for Joshua in this rematch? And who would you bring in for sparring? It's interesting for sparring as well because obviously you've got Joshua, you've got White versus Fury. That's a big heavyweight fight happening. You're going to have Dubois fighting. You're going to have Tony Yoka fighting. You're going to have, you've got Joshua and Usyk fighting. So there's lots of things happening in the heavyweight division. I think Otto Vollins want to fight again soon. There's talk about Robert Helenius fighting. So all these people are going to want sparring partners. So who's the sparring? Who's going to use who for sparring? Because this time the heavyweight picture, Daniel Dubois, Trevor Bryant. So all around this time, there's a lot of heavyweight movement at the moment. A lot of heavyweight movement. Joe Joyce, Joe Parker. So who will Joshua bring into camp for sparring? This will be interesting. And who can he bring in? AJ camp could have Helenius Kawanaki. Really? Kawanaki's too easy to hit. I wouldn't have him as sparring. And he's damaged goods. Wouldn't touch Kawanaki with barge pole. And I wouldn't use Helenius. Helenius is tall and long, but he's not what Usyk is. You need to find a southpaw who's quick. I tell you who would have been a good sparring partner, believe it or not. Eddie Chambers. I would have got Eddie Chambers sparring with Joshua. Southpaw. Was Chambers Southpaw? Was Chambers Southpaw? Sure, Eddie Chambers was Southpaw. I could be wrong. But Eddie Chambers, good. Nice heavyweight. He's got good slick movement. I'd like Eddie Chambers would be a good sparring partner. It's good sparring. Southpaw. I think cruiserweight, light heavy. Maybe Marcus Brown, the light heavyweight. Using him for some sparring. Good movement there, Marcus Brown. Obviously not big, heavy sparring, but nice sparring there, nice movement there. Mary J. Forrest. Southpaw sparring is tough to come by. Yep, that's true. Had he not suffered with cognitive injury, Adonis Stevenson might have been good. I suggested to get AJ ready for target practice and to rough up in the inside. Yes. Yes. So who else? Well, I'll have to go and look around for Southpaw heavyweights. I would say Hughie Fury, but because of he can box Southpaw, just the different look, the range, because I know he can switch it. So just seeing him move with Joshua around, but maybe that's a bit too close to home, wouldn't work. Southpaw sparring. I don't know. Arthur Spilker. Yeah, Spilker, that's an idea. Sparring partner, yeah. Yeah. Cash Ali, is he Southpaw? Or is he just an orthodox that's awkward? I don't remember. You know who would be a good sparring partner for Joshua? That guy, is it the guy that fought Derek Chisora, and he was moving around the ring all the time, and Chisora couldn't nail him. He's got a funny name. Is it Gaushi? I can't remember the guy's name. He made Derek Chisora look terrible, but he's a southpaw. He's a southpaw. He'd be decent. Otto There are barely any southpaw cruiserweights either. Honestly, you'd have to go down to light heavy for quality fighters like Ramirez. Yep. Senegashi. Yep, Senegashi. I'd like to see Senegashi in there. I think Senegashi is interesting. Let me think who else is a southpaw. Heavyweight. Southpaw. Shoot. Mine's gone a blank on me at the moment. Mine's going to blank me. But yeah, we need to get some southpaw sparring in. You can see why I was using Luke Campbell now, can't you? Usyk is going to sleep Joshua seriously. Yeah, I know that's what you want. That's what you want. Yeah, I know you've made it very clear that you want Joshua to get sleep. So yeah. But yeah, you're going to ask Luis Ortiz, but the heavyweight division yet again, Luis Ortiz is going to be fighting Andy Ruiz. So I don't see how. Maybe so that would work well. Luis Ortiz would work well for Anthony Joshua, but then dynamics. Ortiz was meant to fight Joshua a long time ago, but it would work well Ortiz because Ortiz is going to fight Andy Ruiz. If they're going to fight, then Joshua could show Andy. Joshua could work with Ruiz and with Ortiz and what Ruiz's strengths are. Joshua could show that, and of course, Ortiz is a good southpaw fighter. That would be good sparring. Yes. We got here Martin, yes. Charles Martin, yes. Sang, Dempsey McKean, etc. But not really ideal matchups. Thank you very much. There you go. There's some southpaw sparring for you there, Josh. If you and Bashir are listening, there's some southpaws for you there. You really want movers. People are movers. So I would go as far as down super middleweight, light heavyweight, tall super middles, light heavies. I would like to see guys who are going to ping Joshua, right, from long range. He's going to ping him. Are going to have good footwork. What you need, guys, who've got good footwork and don't mind throwing that left hand. Good footwork and picking the left hand. I'd rather see Joshua sparring with light heavyweights. Light heavyweights and super middles. And what I'd want to see is Joshua working at closing the range down and setting up body attacks. That would be interesting. That would be nice to see. Joshua in the ring trying to close the range down against guys who are significantly faster than him that are southpaws. And I would just tell, get forward, and get yourself in position to attack. And all you do is land sneaky body shots. That's what I want to see. Land sneaky body shots. And I tell the southpaw, throw what the hell you got to throw. Throw the punches you want to throw and throw them with venom. Yeah? Throw them with venom. Don't let him come in there and bully you. And try and mimic what Usyk would do. So those sort of things I'd probably look to see Joshua do. But he's got to be sparring world-class southpaws. He can't be sparring amateurs. That's not good enough. Really isn't. So let's hope that that's the case with sparring. And we look forward to seeing more of Uncle Bashir, and I'm still waiting to hear back from him. Every moment I'm checking my phone because it could happen at any moment. I'll get a call from him. So yeah, I just hope everything works out well with them. Hope they get the quality sparring in. And I'm going to come back and do a few more videos before I go off tonight. Just before I do go, please subscribe to our newest sports channel. Really would appreciate your support there. That's the subscription. Just go there. If you do, click the link and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks so much. There you go again. Get across and hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate your support there. Really appreciate it. All right, let me get out of here. I've got to come back and do some videos on Dillian Whyte situation. And maybe I'll talk a bit about Tank Davis as well. All right, let me get out of here. Thank you as always for watching BWTM Sports. Please, don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments, share the video on your platforms on Facebook pages. And I'll see you in a minute.